Hi, I'm Scott Dean. I'll be talking about negative love syndrome as it's taught at the Hoffman Institute. We all have traits that we notice about ourselves, whether we like those traits or not. Now, these traits we'll call patterns, and a pattern is a way of being or thinking. Patterns can show up as addictions, habitual thinking states, behaviors, or the roles we take on in a family, in a relationship, or the ways we act at work too. A pattern could look or show up like, I cry at the drop of a hat. I can be really bossy and controlling. I overspend and I'm always in debt even though I know better. They can also appear as negative self-talk, statements such as, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, I hate myself. Or people-pleasing, that's not always a good thing. Putting my needs last, that's a pattern. Or attracting abusive partners. Several different ways. So the good thing is that these patterns of being are all learned behavior, and learned behaviors can be unlearned. As an infant, we are born into this world fully unconditioned. We're a blank canvas, if you will, and all children want is to feel loved and safe. However, because the human child requires such an extensive period of care until the child reaches independence, there's much time for conditioning from the parent and opportunities for usually innocent mistakes to be made. So because a child is egocentric in the most innocent of ways, children do take everything personally. And again, a child only needs and wants love and a sense of safety. But things happen. Parents deal with their own patterns they receive from their parents or received them from their parents. And this intergenerational conditioning has little, if anything at all, to do with the child in question, whether it's you or me. So when a parent deals with their own stressors, their own negative patterns, a bankruptcy, a divorce, or addictions, the child can perceive their stress or their lack of attention as a lack of love from the parent. Now, you and I see how the parent isn't exactly to blame. And that's the whole point here, is that everyone is guilty, yet no one is to blame. Now, a child doesn't understand that, though. So again, the child takes the lack of focus or attention as a lack of love, and therefore begins to feel unloved, unlovable, and unsafe. A sense of shame is internalized. There must be something wrong with me. And since all the child wants and needs is to feel loved and safe, the child will do anything they can to regain the lost love. The child starts to take on the patterns that they see exhibited by their parents, and this can be seen in a few different ways. Most simply, we can adopt the pattern in its original form from the parent. The child can take on the same negative self-talk or attract abusive partners or be very critical of the self or others. Now, the idea here is that the child is implying, see, Mom, I'm just like you. Now do you love me? Now do I fit in? Another way patterns show up is in the form of a reaction to the parent's patterns. A child could also see the parent's pattern of dominance or overbearing, and the child could retract into themselves as a form of protection. They could become withdrawn or have a fear of expressing themselves or their opinions. A third possibility is an act of rebelling against the parent's patterns, a way of setting themselves apart. My dad was so mean to me and unkind to people, I will make sure I am never unkind to anyone. The child could hold back their voice or their authenticity to make sure that no one is ever upset at them. So we can work our way through this negative love map as a way to describe what's happening. At the initial observation that we're lacking in love, there is a sense of shame that's developed. I am unlovable, I am broken, something is wrong with me. We then begin noticing the patterns of our parents, and that's when we begin the process of internalizing their patterns by adopting, reacting, or rebelling, as I just described. From there, the roles we take on in life show up. I was the good kid, or the joker, or the black sheep. Moving outward, we come to behaviors like judging, controlling, or hiding our voice. And then next we move into habitual thinking and feeling states. And this is where anxiety enters, or depression, or shutting down or numbing out. Now, obviously, after all these, we start to feel really awful. So we reach out for something outside of ourselves to make us feel better, to fill the void left by negative love. We use addictions of substances, people, or behaviors to avoid feeling our shame, to hide, or to prove to ourselves that we really are okay. These are our substitutes for love, personal power, or worth. So the amazing fact is that this is almost entirely done unconsciously. We don't really even know that it's happening. And this may work for a long time, and maybe it never gets addressed. However, there is an internal conflict that arises from these behaviors. Negative love steals our life energy and our vitality. It cuts us off to love freely. In our relationships, we unconsciously try to recapture mom or dad's love, choosing partners who manifest traits like mommy or daddy or both. We project our parents unconsciously and automatically onto our lovers, authority figures, bosses, friends, colleagues, teachers, and this is known as transference. This all recreates our early family system and projects the horrors of the negative love syndrome into the present time. It results in resistance or conflict, rejecting or being rejected, or heartbreak and loss. Now, believe it or not, there's good news. All of this is learned behavior, and learned behavior can be unlearned. So because everything that has been explained here has happened in our parents' lives in one form or another, it's easier to see that they didn't always know how to nourish us. They did the best they could with what they were given. If they had been able to honor themselves, they would have honored us. And now that we're aware of what happened, though, it's our work to undo and unlearn these patterns and to stop these generational hand-me-downs. This is where the Hoffman process fits in perfectly. In this one-week workshop, these patterns are all exposed and traced back to their parent of origin. This awareness is used to reclaim our lives using our free will, our body, our voice, and our intention. Through exercises in compassion and forgiveness, also with understanding, we can truly let go of the pattern and any negative emotions we hold towards our parents. This opens the door and creates space for a new, authentic behavior to emerge. This authenticity opens us to the freedom of play and of laughter and confidence and vitality, authenticity, and so many more forms of freedom that we all desire in our lives. According to Bob Hoffman, when we come to love ourselves fully, we end the eternal negative chatter in our heads and we find inner peace. The work of the Hoffman process can accomplish just this, and not just intellectually, but emotionally, physically, and spiritually as well. My sincere hope is that this has been informative and positively empowering. And my name is Scott Dean, and I'm so appreciative of your time.